said, I'm getting ready to fire this guy, and I'm stressing over it, and I just don't know what to do. And he goes, well, what would you do if you were in his shoes? If you were in his shoes, how would you want to be treated? Now, what does that sound like?
Do unto others.
It's the do unto others. It's the golden rule. Love others as you would have, as you would want to be loved. So I thought about it. Well, if I was in his shoes, I would want to have a lot more time. Now, what's conventional business wisdom?
Time's money.
You got 30 days, buddy. What's so magical about 30 days? Can anybody tell me what is going to happen in 30 days? Other than it's going to make you feel better that you gave him a chance and you gave him 30 days. But do you really think anything's going to happen in 30 days? No. No. But that's conventional business wisdom. Gave him 6 months. Because I figured, that's what I would want. I was pretty nice to myself. I figured, man, if I was in issues, I would want 6 months. So I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give him 6 months. So I went up to Seattle, sat down over dinner. He was much older than me. I was sweating. I was nervous. I said, Walt, I hate to say this, but hey, things aren't going so well. He goes, hey, if I can't get this thing turned around in a few months, you can let me go. There'll be no heartache. I thought, I didn't even have to say anything. But I was prepared. I was prepared to do the right thing. I think a lot of times, looking back on the years, I have learned more from the failures than I have from some of the successes that we've achieved at the school. There have been so many times when I've done something that, looking back on it, I can see that wasn't the wisest thing to do, and that I did not employ the wisdom that was available to me. I don't profess to have a lot of business savvy, but I think the things that God has shaped me for is to be a good shepherd. And so, the things that I'm actually the proudest about is just how we are as a group of workers and how we've been able to take care of people. We could sit here and talk about top line revenue and bottom line and what have you, but the things that I'm most pleased about in the business is when my employees rally around somebody that's lost a loved one, when they take up a collection to have somebody's son, they couldn't even transport him from Phoenix to San Diego for a burial, but they took up a collection to make sure that child had a proper burial. Rich, the funny one back here in the green shirt, he is our controller, and Rich, I don't think he would mind me sharing that God has healed him from Hodgkin's disease, and he's a college football referee. So if you see him running up and down U of A Stadium, you know that he's one of us. But when he came to work for us and had the interview, it was a very stressful time for him to consider moving from one job to another. And I could tell, even just during the interview, that it was weighing on him. The beauty of being in business as a Christian, I think, is that you can put your faith to work. You don't have to be a clergy to be a shepherd. And I can remember what did we do? We just sat down and we just prayed right there in the middle of the interview. And he walked out going, I don't think I've ever had anybody pray during an interview. It just seems like, hey, that's what was called for at that point in time. I look at the things over the years, and we had a young man die of AIDS, and very little family support during the last few months of his life, except for the company that he worked for. And I was able to go over and officiate the funeral, but there was nobody there that could speak to the hope that we all have I look at it, I go, geez, I suppose I could have gone into ministry as a Catholic priest. But, God has blessed me with a parish of people called employees that I can serve and I can pour myself into.
Amen.
So, for me, I take great satisfaction in knowing that He's using me. If I'll pay attention, there isn't a day that goes by, apart from all the, the financial things and the budgetary things that any businessman has to take care of. The biggest thing is just the people. I've got people that are getting divorced. I've got a young man, 20 years younger than I, whose father is dying at Mayo Clinic, and he doesn't know how to cope watching his father die. So those opportunities, to me, those are the ones that bring me the most joy and the most satisfaction in being in business. And again, I think it's just it's a credit to God that He can use any of us. Doesn't matter if you have a PE degree or no degree or too many degrees. He has a way of just using us if we just make ourselves available. I have two scriptures I want to just share before I close, and I think it just underscores what we're talking about this morning. First is in 1 Corinthians 10:31, and many of you are familiar with it. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Do not cause anyone else to stumble. So it doesn't really matter whether you're a respiratory therapist or an insurance agent or you're making baskets or whatever you're doing in life, God can get the glory in just the manner in which you're doing it and the manner in which you're relating to people. The second is in 1 Peter. Again, I know many of you are familiar with this as well. 1 Peter's second chapter, verse 9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to God, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light. In closing, I would just say, of all the things that we can do in business, there is nothing greater than just loving the people that you're hanging out with, that you're working shoulder to shoulder with. That's how we proclaim Christ. When they see your patience, when they see your joy, when they see your genuine interest in them, those are the things that just scream the glory of God. Everything else, in the end, is all going to get burned up. But the love that you demonstrate to the others, that's the stuff that's going to last. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I want to thank you all for being here today. And I know as I talk with many of you as you come in, everybody's at different places, all kinds of challenges. We can't lose sight of what we just learned. It's really how we treat people, and that we get to demonstrate truly what's in our heart and really what God means to us. The business, toughness, all those kind of things that go on ultimately don't matter, but how we do treat each other is the stuff that's going to last. So thank you for those words of wisdom. And right now I'd like us just to spend a little bit of time praying together. I'd like for you, if you would, to find somebody that you haven't prayed with before. And here's what you're going to do today. I want you to pray for one issue in your life that you would like us to pray. Maybe it's a decision you need to make today. Maybe something struggle going on.